Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to winter in Minnesota. This is really quite an event that we've had over the last couple of days. I was thinking about this yesterday, that my daughter, who is now 19 years old and living in New York, was a week old when we had the last massive snowstorm on the Halloween blizzard in 1991. So a lot of us, even though we've certainly had some weather since then, and we had the Christmas storm last year, have not seen this level, this volume of snow in quite some time. If you took all of the snow that fell just in the city of St. Paul over the last couple of days, you would have 1 million cement trucks full of snow. That, needless to say, creates some challenges for all of us. In response to the 5th highest snowfall that we have seen in the state of Minnesota and in this region, we have an unprecedented effort, an unprecedented level of coordination, an unprecedented number of pieces of equipment that are out on the streets, working very, very, very hard to do everything that we can to clear this as quickly as we can. Obviously, our job is not done. We do believe that by late this evening, all of the north, south, east, west, and arterial streets will have been completely plowed. But as you know, there still leaves, first of all, the spots where the cars were stuck behind to be plowed out. It leaves large windrows on the sidewalks. It certainly leaves a lot of snow behind, and we're going to continue to move forward to try to clear some of that snow. Really, this effort began long before the bulk of the snow had come down, but at one point we had 2 inches of snow falling an hour, so trying to keep up with that was very difficult. But by the time we actually declared our first snow emergency, we had 30 pieces of equipment that were out clearing the arterial streets, trying to open it up as much as possible. One of the things that we did was we opened up our emergency command center. That was in operation for, I think, about 24 hours, Rick. Trying to coordinate all of our efforts, making sure that our emergency responders had plows. I think we had 10 plows attached to fire departments, fire stations, in case they needed to go out during the course of an emergency. We had police officers doubling up in every four-wheel drive vehicle that we could find, making sure that we continued our service on both the police, fire, and EMS sides. We have, as I said, we hope that by this evening we are going to completely have plowed all 3 phases of our snow emergency route. And then we begin, I think, what's going to be a long time still to clear out some of the remaining snow that's left behind. This is not something that's just going to be cleared up overnight. We're hoping first and foremost that the weather cooperates, knock on wood or formica or whatever I have here, that we don't have any additional snow in the near future. I know that there is some forecast for some snow later on. At least as of this moment, the forecast is just for a minimal amount of snow, if even that. Our priorities are going to be first and foremost making sure that we do everything that we can so that our schools can open tomorrow, clearing access to schools, clearing whatever we can, however we can be helpful. Mike Hom, our Parks and Recs Department Director, is not here this afternoon, but he and his staff are working very hard to coordinate with the schools to make sure that sidewalks are open, lots are open, access to the schools are open. I've spoken with the superintendent. While she has not made a final decision about opening or closing schools yet, we have said to her that we'll do everything that we can to make sure that buses can get through and that access to the schools will be open up. And I'll leave it to the school district to talk a little bit more about that. One of the things that has been really, I think, just reassuring to me is, first of all, the images of neighbors helping neighbor. This is really what Minnesota is about. You know, we have a storm like this. We don't just go in and hide inside. We go and see if the neighbor needs someone to help them push their car out, or we see if there's somebody that needs sidewalk cleared down the route, down the way. I've liked the site that the St. Paul Pioneer Press has, not to pick favorites, but I do like the site that the Pioneer Press has had that has just allowed people that are in need of some assistance to go on the website, put in an address, and if somebody can help out, they can hopefully neighbors will locate that and they'll be able to go out and help a senior citizen or someone that has inability or incapacity that would make it very difficult for them to clear out the sidewalk on their own. We hope that those efforts continue. We ask all of our residents, first of all, for patience. They should know that we are not being patient. We are working very, very hard. But we ask people to understand the magnitude of the snowfall that we have seen, and we ask them to help in a number of ways. First of all, again, by helping their neighbors, if that is possible, to clean out their sidewalks or driveways, whatever that might be. Second of all, to work and help us clean out fire hydrants wherever that's possible. Third, if there's a curb that needs a little pathway out to the street so that people can move back and forth, you know, one of the things we know that gets frustrating for folks is that you just get your sidewalk cleared out and then a plow comes by and it plows you back in, but this is going to be a process. But if we can be patient with that and helpful with that. Finally, I'd ask people to just be careful. Just even driving around on my own this afternoon or driving around this, just through the neighborhoods today, it gets kind of difficult to see sometimes as you get to an intersection. The streets are still slippery. We're going to work to sand and try to remove that ice, but we just want people to be careful, understand that these are significant winter driving conditions, and do everything that we can. Finally, we know that it's been challenging for individuals to find out, you know, where are they supposed to park if they're on a night plow route and it's daytime now, but their street hasn't been plowed out yet. We want people to understand that there is a source of information. If they have any questions, please go to either stpaul.gov or the snow information line 651-266-PLOW, P-L-O-W, 266-7569. People, please check that site if you have any questions or any doubt, or call that number if you're confused about where to go. We've been we've tried to be very patient with folks given the nature of the situation. We have towed about 100 cars over the last couple of days, but we have only done that where they have blocked access to either emergency vehicles or plows. We have not towed people unless they were actually in the drive lanes, and we're going to continue to be as tolerant and as patient as we can be. But at some point, we've got to clear the streets. We've got to do everything that we can, and we're going to continue to work on that. So we have our incredible crew that has been working on this over the last couple of days, working in coordination with each of our departments to make sure that we're doing everything that we can, including our finance director. And so if there's any questions, I'll open it up for questions at this time.
Where are some people supposed to park right now if they've got a night plow route that's not plowed and they're East-West Street?
Which do you have? Or John, why don't you come on up, or one, or John or Rich?
East-West streets, as I said, will be, as the mayor said, will be plowed today. We have completed the north-south streets, and they can park on the plowed side of the north-south streets.
When you say East-West are being completed, are they getting the curb to curb? There's a lot of cars moving back on the East-West.
Yeah, our goal is to get them as open as possible. There are cases where it won't be completely curb to curb, but they will be in the parking lanes on each side will be cleared by late this evening is our goal.
Which are you seeing about when I was driving around this morning, I saw a situation where East-West Street had been plowed somewhat. Cars moved back in, but in the desire to not strand themselves in the snowbank, there wasn't enough width for the plows to come through and do more.
Well, and that's one of the reasons that we stepped up it a little bit today to try and get cars out of those areas, so that if we can clear the east-west routes and the day routes completely, that will should provide enough parking for everybody that needs to leave their vehicle on the streets. Right now, I believe we have about 115 pieces of equipment out on the road. That includes 80 plow trucks that the city owns. We have gotten mutual aid from both Ramsey County and the MnDOT to help us out. Ramsey County now has 8 pieces out there. They're doing primary sanding for us on the major thoroughfares. We have smaller pieces of equipment, 1 tons out there, and bobcats. So we have 115 pieces of equipment.
Well, let me just say that in a typical snow emergency, we have about 80 pieces of equipment would be a full-on effort. So this is really quite stepped up in terms of its level of activity, again with the coordinated efforts that Rich talked about. I do want to just mention one thing. The folks that are out there, a lot of these men and women have been pulling 20-hour shifts. At some point they've got to get home and get some sleep. They, quite frankly, got to go out and get them, their own sidewalk shoveled. But they are working really, really hard, and they've been doing it since 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning. So we have every piece of equipment that we could find, every piece of equipment that we could coordinate with to work with folks.
Saturday, we probably had 87 to 90 pieces out on Saturday. Part of that is we have been able to procure some more equipment from other departments as their needs have decreased. Parks and Recreation, as for example, is finishing up with 2 of their bigger trucks, and are sending them over this afternoon. So as we can procure more stuff, as a matter of fact, Friday night, I had to run down to Burnsville to pick up a truck from a vendor that had been repaired, and they told us that it's done. We went down and got it so that we could get it out and plow.
And obviously you're asking for patience, it takes time to do all this snow. What do you say to those people who are getting frustrated with what they see as the effort being done or not done?
Well, I hope that people, again, we do ask for patience, but we want them to know that we're not being patient on this thing. We, as Rich just kind of outlined, the level, we had every piece of equipment that we had, and then when we needed more, we went out and got it. This is just going to be a process. This is going to be at least several more days before things are even beginning to get back to normal, and it could be another week or more before we really have everything kind of restored so that there's passable. And given the volume of snow, we're still going to have narrow streets, and we want to make sure that people are over so that they can, emergency vehicles can pass, etc. We did a calculation, or I think Rich and John were trying to calculate if we had 10 bobcats out or 10 people working for the next 100 days to clear intersections, just the piles of snow on the sidewalks, sometime about June, I think we'd be finished. So, this is just, with this volume of snow, as I say, 1 million cement trucks full of snow. This is just, we're going to do everything that we can to open up access. We're going to do everything that we can to assure public safety vehicles to be able to move about, schools to be open, etc. And where people can help, when they can pitch in, we ask them to do that as well. Well, fortunately, we do, each snow emergency just on a regular basis is about a $500,000 event. So with the doubling up plus the extra effort that's gone into this, this quickly adds up. We have fortunately also been very careful to be prepared. We did have some reserves, or do have some reserves, but given, at this point, #1 priority is to figure out how to get the snow removed and get people back moving and fully functional. Second of all is to make sure that we have the resources to do that. But we're not going to stop. We'll figure out how to finance this thing. Right as of this moment, we're in pretty good shape with our reserves, etc. That's hoping again that we don't get a lot more snow in the next few weeks before the first of the year. Over here. Well, we're hoping that with lanes to park opening up, that people will understand they've got to get their cars. If their street needs to be plowed, they've got to get their cars off of it. That's why I encourage people to go. to the 266 plow number or stpaul.gov to find out exactly what the rules are so that there's no question about it. I'm still always a little bit amazed. You know, there are people that worked really hard to move their cars and weren't able to do that because it just they were stuck, they were deep, they didn't have the resources to do that. I've talked with people that tried to get AAA out to move their cars, and AAA said that they had pulled their folks off the street, at least according to this one individual. So this is a challenge, and that's why we're being patient. I would hope that we don't have to tow anybody. It's not we don't benefit. We benefit when people move their cars voluntarily, when they work hard, when they get the assistance that they need to get their cars off the street. That's our goal. We don't have any desire to tow people, but our first job is to get those streets opened up. I don't think there's any way for us to estimate that. So, Jane. People have the ability to sign up on a number of different methods to get email alerts or tweets or whatever to make sure that they have that access. Obviously, you know, we broadcast it as widely as possible. The reality is, I think that a lot of folks weren't really thrilled with that system on the automatic alert system when we tried it a few years ago. You may remember I was one of the champions of the sirens. No one else liked that idea, partly because our emergency folks told me that the sirens would break if it was too cold. But you know, in a situation like the other night, people knew that there was a snow emergency, but they were having trouble moving their vehicles. That's why we were trying to be as lenient as we could, as tolerant and as understanding as we can. But again, at some point, we've got to get those streets opened up. Tim? Chiefs, I'll have you answer that just in terms of the passability. I'm going to say quickly, and the chief can confirm or deny it, both because at the height of the storm we had equipment attached to at least 10 of the stations. That was helpful, and that's been our priority, is to open that up. Chief, do you want to?
Yes, in general, fire and emergency crews can get through to people's homes. There may be isolated areas that we still have problems getting to. But our crews are working together. We're on a shared radio channel, so if emergency crews need a snowplow, they can call that supervisor directly and get that assistance. Big issue for fire right now is the 10,000 fire hydrants in the city. We're definitely going to need citizen partnerships with us to help dig those out, because that'll be a long haul to dig all those out. Well, I wouldn't have an approximation. I mean, our crews have been out. They've been getting to everybody's homes today. Our operations are essentially normal as far as access goes. But again, individuals should make sure that their egress routes from their homes are cleared, their doors and their egress windows. They should make sure the fire hydrants on their blocks or on their property are shoveled. And as much as possible, make sure that their utilities are clear. Their natural gas meters and their intake and exhaust fans for their solid fuel or natural gas fired appliances are clear of snow.
Are we on our fifth?
If we include the double up one that we just did, there was one last winter in January, and then two before this one. So this one, if you count the doubled up, it would be a total 5.
So last year.
You may remember, you know, that storm that we had before Christmas last year in a lot of ways was worse. I mean, the volume of snow here, but we had that rain that came in beforehand. It made it really difficult to clear those streets. Even in the '91 blizzard, we had snow, or we had rain before it. It was really slushy. We had that washboard effect for a long period of time. The difference was that was late October, and so that there was some warmer weather in November that allowed us to clear better. With the cold weather that came in, we're not going to. I don't think we're going to see a lot of melting anytime soon. We have been, we started off with the premise that we weren't going to tow anybody, we weren't going to ticket anybody unless it was absolutely essential. And we've tried to be very liberal in the interpretation of that. So where people have been towed, it's because their car has been left in the middle of a traffic lane, or it's been in a position where it's been blocking emergency vehicles or whatever. We would look at it perhaps by case basis, but we started off with the premise that we were going to try to be as understanding as we could be given the nature of the situation. No, no, we didn't. We wanted to have people work as hard as they could to get their cars off the street, because every car that's left behind is a situation that potentially either blocks an emergency vehicle or makes it very, very difficult for us to remove snow. So we want people to do everything that they can, again, with full understanding and patience of you know, we weren't tricking anybody. We were just trying to say, look, do what you can. We'll be tolerant, but you got to work on it. Well, as of this afternoon, 50% of the east-west streets, but by 9 o'clock tonight, we believe that all of those east-west streets, in addition to the arterials and the north-souths, will be taken care of. Right. Right. What we tried to do, and I'll have Rich or John jump in on this, but what we were trying to do was to get the streets plowed as quickly as we could. We knew, given the volume, that we were going to have to go back and do cleanup, but the fact of the matter is, given the volume of snow, it took a lot longer for us to be able to even get that first pass out of the way, and so we were really challenged to try to get through there as quickly as we can. This is an urban environment. People don't have the driveways or the off-street parking like you would in a suburban community, and that's just one of the challenges that we know that we have in the city of St. Paul. There are a lot of houses that, you know, there may be 2 or 3 cars with no place to park off of the street, and so you do have a situation that makes it harder to plow than it would be in a suburban community. Quite frankly, some of our plows, because you got to be a little bit more careful, you got to go a little slower. Our plows were also getting stuck themselves. So this is a challenge, and again, it's been a long time since we've had practice with this level of snow.
Last question.
No, you know, this is you build your capacity, and you know, normally 99 times out of 100 or 999 times out of 1,000, we have the capacity to do what we need to do. But you're talking about the 5th highest level of snow ever recorded in the city, and so, you know, we have to be realistic with what our budgets are. We had every piece of equipment out, and as we've indicated, right now we've had, you know, by almost double the number of pieces that are out on the street, because we've been able to access some other situations as those jurisdictions have freed up some pieces. So, you know, at some point we have a tremendous capacity to do that. Under normal circumstances, we would be able to handle the situation, but you're talking about an event that hasn't occurred in over 20 years. And so we think that we have the right balance. We just got to keep on pushing. Thank you, everyone.